net neutrality has been in the news quite a bit recently, especially if you've noticed that the speed on Netflix has deteriorated since October of last year. They just struck a deal with Comcast, and it has to do with being able to stream at a faster speed. We have more details for you. Take a quick look.
After a dispute spanning several months, Netflix has agreed to pay Comcast to ensure its movies and TV shows stream smoothly to the cable provider's customers. The exact terms of the deal have yet to be disclosed, but in exchange for payment, Comcast will now allow Netflix to directly access its broadband network. The two companies had been at odds over the cost of delivering Netflix streams to customers over Comcast network. CNET writes, while Netflix wanted to connect to Comcast network for free, the cable giant sought compensation for the heavy traffic that Netflix users generate, arguing that it costs the company a lot to deliver internet video. Netflix CEO Reed Hastings apparently decided to strike a deal after learning that the average streaming speeds for Comcast subscribers had deteriorated by 27% since last October. A writer for SlashGear says while content may stream more smoothly under the new deal, it's going to come at a cost for Netflix, particularly if the company is forced to make similar deals with other providers. One possibility is that it could eventually offer more expensive plans to try to offset any extra it pays for internet providers.
Now, on its face, this sounds like great news, especially if you're a Netflix user and now you can look forward to faster speeds, but there are lots of issues at play. On a previous episode of The Point, we discussed how Comcast is trying to acquire Time Warner. The FCC has yet to approve that deal, but it seems likely that they will approve it, especially if you follow the money and see what's been going on with lobbying. But also, this might have some negative impacts on smaller businesses, because while Netflix has the funding to strike this type of deal with Comcast, that might not necessarily be true for other businesses that are trying to do the same thing. Yeah. So John, share your thoughts on this. Do you think that this is good news?
I envy the person that saw this announcement and thought, yes, faster Netflix speeds. No, the speeds aren't going to be faster. Internet speeds got faster up until about 2006 to 2007, and they have gotten nothing but slower ever since then. We have the worst internet generally in the world. I'm sure there's some parts of like sub-Saharan Africa that are worse, but it's just horrible. If you look at European or Australian or Korean or Japanese internet, it's all better. And it's not just better in terms of speed, it's better in terms of the structure, like the structural way that their internet providers are set up. Their infrastructure is stronger. Mm-hmm. It sucks here. There is almost no monopoly more secure than internet providers in the US. You have, at best, a cable provider, a DSL provider, and then DirecTV or something like that. Like, you have no choices whatsoever. And the idea that after they made this deal with Netflix, they're not going to try to flex their muscles more, it's absolutely disgusting, especially because just a couple of months ago, Netflix said, if you try to make us pay more to have our traffic on your thing, we're going to put something at the top of Netflix that says they're trying to, like, I guess twist our arm or whatever. And so we're gonna take our massive audience, which is one of the biggest, most used web services around, and we're gonna use them to lobby against you. And then they decided, oh no, that's an awesome idea, but we're just not gonna do that. Yeah. I think it's pathetic. Now, Cenk has the idea that this is actually much better for them because it's gonna squeeze smaller providers out and things like that. But I don't care. I don't care fundamentally about Netflix. I certainly don't care about Comcast. The government needs to get involved because our entire system of delivering internet is broken, and it's 2014. It's not 1980. I'm not trying to connect to some bulletin board online or something like that. It's necessary for business. It's necessary for education. It needs to be fixed.
Damn, you want to do a no filter on this, bro?
I think that was a no filter.
It's worse than water. Like, I could honestly lose my water in my apartment and I would not care, but if I lose my internet, my day is shot.
All right,
It can't be optional anymore.
I agree with you. I'm just as outraged, although I'm not as animated. But Brendan, I want to bring you in and give a legal perspective on this, because we're supposed to have laws that prevent this type of monopoly from taking place, right?
Yeah, so I mean, the problem is that in January, the DC Circuit, it's a federal court of appeals, struck down the net neutrality rules, basically on a technicality. So the FCC had characterized broadband internet as an information service rather than as a telecommunications service. So the FCC can address that issue fairly easily by just changing the classification for broadband services and making the common carrier rules applicable to those services. And that means that they won't be able to discriminate based on content.
Is that likely to happen, though?
I mean, there's some indication that the FCC chairman is moving in that direction. How quickly he moves and whether or not that's stymied by lobbying efforts remains to be seen.
Right.
Look, I wouldn't go as far as John on the water thing, but yes, online access is almost as important as electricity at this point, and Time Warner is now part of Comcast, or will be part of Comcast soon enough. We all know that deal is going to go down. Verizon was the one fighting the thing, net neutrality in the courts in the first place. This is hugely important. Everything we do, literally what we are doing right now, the way everyone is seeing this right now, is through these wires and these cables, and they need to be a public good. Everyone should have equal access, and this is terrible move by Verizon. Netflix completely folded on this, and they didn't do anything to really fight it. And at the end of the day,
they were held hostage, though. I mean, what choice did they have, especially since their speeds, I mean, even if they weren't so great to begin with, continued to deteriorate since October of last year. I mean,
I actually think it's more than Verizon slowing it down, because I have Time Warner, and I've been noticing that Netflix has been slowing down. So that's just anecdotal, but I have a feeling that they've been figuring out ways to throttle. Look, we have no idea what they're doing internally and whether people are flipping switches and whatever. No, I don't think you would ever be able to get a panelist that would defend Time Warner in any way, right? But yes, these need to be open and public cables for everybody to have at least the access. Otherwise, just in terms of information and what people will be able to control. And you know what? If Verizon has a partnership with a news organization, well, they can get you their video faster than something that maybe they're not interested in showing you. I mean, there's huge ramifications.
There are definitely huge ramifications. You know, last week we talked about how Comcast acquired NBC, and it's very likely that they would want to make sure that NBC programming online would stream at a quicker pace, or quicker speed, I should say, than programming on any other website, whether it's Netflix or whatever it is. So having that monopoly really impacts the type of programming that you're going to have access to in the future. And I like that you touched on the issue of education, John, because, you know, in an earlier segment we were talking about how the internet makes education accessible for everyone. And if you have this monopoly there, I mean, can they control the type of message that's being put out there by certain shows like The Point or The Young Turks?
Yeah. Or just as simple as, like I was talking about how there are all these Ivy League schools that provide lectures that you can download. Well, if you have shitty internet, then you can't download them because it'll take forever. And so just in terms of regular internet access, it doesn't even have to be controlling the content. If they control the speed, then you might not be able to regularly access this awesome content.
And this also goes to the giant ways that corporations are merged. So so if Comcast owns NBC, well then they could make MSNBC's video faster, and then at the same time they could slow down the Young Turks videos.
And why wouldn't they want to do that?
And why wouldn't they want to do that? And we shouldn't just believe that these things won't happen, because actually they will.
Absolutely, especially when there is a bottom line there, there's a profit motive.